Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about pride today, and by pride I mean the vice. Ecclesiastes 7:20 says, "Indeed there is no one on earth who is righteous, no one who does what is right and never sins." With pride, a lot of people like to think that they are righteous or that they don't have sin or that they never do wrong. They like to think themselves higher than other people. But we know that, like Solomon is talking about, no one on earth is righteous. That is the whole point why Jesus came for us, because he was the only righteous one. He was the only one that never sinned. Romans 3:10 also says, "There is no one righteous, not even one." That was also Paul writing that. No one is good. Once we accept this, we can humble ourselves. We are to be humbled just as Christ humbled himself. In Philippians 2:6-8, it says, "Who, being in very nature God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross." So even Christ humbled himself to our level when he is God. Like, think about that. He didn't go parading himself in a way that a lot of kings did. They're very haughty, very prideful of their possessions and their wealth and the things that they had acquired and their accomplishments. But Jesus didn't do that. That was what made him different and made him stand out. So, from pride stems most sin. I'm getting this from Mere Christianity, from C.S. Lewis, and he talks about how pride leads to every other vice. It is the complete anti-God state of mind. Says it is the pleasure of being above the rest and of competition. Once the element of competition is gone, pride has gone. And like I mentioned, he goes on to say, Christians are right. It is pride which has been the chief cause of misery in every nation and every family since the world began. It was through pride that the devil became the devil. Pride leads to every other vice. And he said that pride is enmity, and not only enmity between man and man, but enmity to God. In God, you come up against something which is in every respect immeasurably superior to yourself. But as long as you are proud, you cannot know God. A proud man is always looking down on things and people, and of course, as long as you are looking down, you cannot see something that is above you. He said pride comes directly from hell, and it is a spiritual cancer that eats up the very possibility of love or contentment or even common sense. And he says, there is one vice of which no man in the world is free, which everyone in the world loathes when he sees it in someone else, and of which hardly any people, except Christians, ever imagine that they are guilty themselves. He said he has heard people admit that they are bad-tempered, or drink, or that even they are cowards. But he says he does not think he has ever heard anyone who is not a Christian accuse himself of this vice. And the thing about pride is it's sometimes hard to detect in yourself, but we all have pride, and that's something that a lot of people don't want to admit. Proverbs 16:18-19 says, "Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be lowly in spirit along with the oppressed than to share plunder with the proud." So we see here that pride always brings destruction, whether it's destruction to your spiritual maturity, or it's destruction to a relationship, destruction to yourself. Pride is never a good thing. And it is something that is well versed in our culture, and a lot of people have pride, and they do not want to admit that they are wrong, or they don't want to admit that they are prideful. And C.S. Lewis even talks about how being proud of something is not pride. Pride is putting yourself above others to the point where you look down on them and that you don't care what they think because you don't think that their opinion matters. And it's something that is a root of a lot of different sins, and it's a root of evil, basically. Pride is the opposite of what Christ wants us to behave like. A lot of our culture does not want to address the pride issue, but I also feel like pride, as in the LGBTQ whatever community, it's kind of ironic that their community is celebrates pride, because they are prideful of basically fulfilling their desires and falling into sin. They're basically being prideful in that, and that's not something that you should be prideful about. So pride is not good. It's something that everybody needs to be aware of in the way that they behave and act towards others. And as we can see in God's word, that it is something that is very destructive, and we should always be aware of that in ourselves. So I hope you enjoyed. God bless.